special guest Matt Booth of Rule 101 Cigars. Cut light, enjoy. Cut light, enjoy. Cut light, enjoy. Cut light, enjoy. With Panda, Don, PC, and Mutt.
We've already gotten to be able to hang out and stuff like that with each other. All of them came down to South Florida. We met up in Tampa for the first time, and it was a blast. I mean, it really was. And to finally meet everyone face to face, to be able to chop it up and be able to just go at it. It was a good time, So, and these guys got to learn a few more things about me that they didn't know until they met me in person.
Yeah,
I'm OCD. I'm a little OCD.
I learned way more than I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Understood.
Listen, being originally from New York, I walk fast, I talk fast, and I drive fast, as these guys like to learn. And it's just, listen, we fell in love with, and it might sound a little odd, with each other because of how we kind of all mesh and blend with each other. Yeah.
But this is cool because this is what the cigar culture is.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Just a bunch of dudes. And some ladies. It's cool. The ladies are welcome too.
Other than this jackass in the top left running through the house at 6 a.m. yelling, "Wake up, bitches!" After we drank all night. Yeah,
that sounds about right. That sounds about right. And go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir.
No, man. I mean, look, man, I could only echo your sentiments, man, because although, I was a cigar smoker and an enjoyer of cigars, when I started to, squeak my little pinky toe into the business, I very quickly fell very deeply in love with the community and the culture that surrounded the act of cigar smoking, And so I get it, bro. I mean, look, bro, I was in the Marine Corps Infantry 4 years. I went through all kinds of shit growing up. And they say that, like the trauma bonding thing and, you become close. Well, actually, that makes sense. That actually makes sense that I've made some of the best friends of my life in the cigar business because there's also trauma bonding, obviously, in this business. But I can say with confidence that, I've made some of the best friendships in my life as a byproduct of not only this product, but this business and this community, right? So I get it, man.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thanks, man.
JJ's also an Army vet.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
But before we get into the questions, Mr. Booth, we kind of want to go around and see what everyone's smoking. I am smoking your Nabakubi.
Oh, that shit's nice.
Yes, sir. This is a serious blend. You got all sorts of things going on in this. Is the San Andreas wrapper, the binders were Ecuadorian Sumatra, the fill is Pennsylvania broadleaf with Nicaragua, and it's the origins from Dominican Republic.
That's correct.
And let me tell you something. I'm really looking forward to smoking this guy. But Don, what are you smoking today?
I have, in paying homage to where I live about a mile from the Johnson Space Center, so I'm smoking the Johnny Tobacco.
Fucking A.
Yep.
And you, Mr. Mutt?
Oh, I'm smoking the muzzle loader.
There we go.
Love it.
I'm keeping track, so I'm going to tell you a story about each one of these cigars, but I'm waiting.
Well, and tonight I'm smoking the Caldwell. I did have one of your sticks. I couldn't get crosstown to get more, so I'm smoking the Caldwell 1868.
But do you like it?
It's good. It's really good. I like it.
Then that is one of my cigars. If you didn't like it, then I'd say it was Caldwell cigar.
I really like it.
And now you're in the cigar business. There you go. Welcome.
That's hilarious.
So first and foremost, the muzzle loader made by my dear friend AJ Fernandez for us, okay? The genesis for muzzle loader. Now this is like this is like, I don't know, 2014, 15 at this point. And I'm in Hollywood and where is that? Is that cool? It was Eva Longoria used to have a Japanese fusion restaurant there that was like kind of like a like a Nobu kind of riff thing, you know, like this modernized Japanese bullshit. And the dude from the Blue Blocker commercials used to sit in front of this restaurant. I couldn't even believe it. I was like starstruck. I've never been so starstruck in my life, other than meeting DJ Quick, you know. And I
Uh-oh.
thought, oh my God, you're the guy from, and I took pictures, did the whole thing, you know, brought him a spicy tuna roll when I was done with dinner. Now, at this dinner, I'm with several savages that shall remain nameless for the sake of the story. And back then, things were a little more inverted than they are today. Today, Matt Booth likes to go to bed. Today, Matt Booth likes to remain hydrated because, you know, as they say, you know, when you remain hydrated, you live to fight another day,
Yes.
you know,
Right.
or something. There's something
Like that.
something doomsayer, something whatever. Anyways, so you see how I snuck that product name in there. So anyways, these two guys are fucking going back and forth about whatever they're talking about, and I was like, enough of this conversation. I said, this is over. They were like, you know, they were kind of like, you know, each of them were like one-upping each other, right? It was this perpetually escalating series of one-upsmanship, right? And I was becoming fatigued having to listen to it. I'm trying to drink my 17th gin and tonic and eat my spicy tuna roll. And so I said, look, it's very simple. You two are going to go into the bathroom. You're going to take this wad of wasabi. You're going to take the chopstick, all right? You're going to put that whole wad of wasabi on the chopstick, and you will muzzle load that straight up your dick pipe. Now, well, no, hold on. This is actually where it gets good. And I turned to the other gentleman and I said, and you're going to suck out all the wasabi. And if he still burns when he pees, then you lose. And then they stopped doing what they were doing. And then I said, hold on a second. Muzzle loader. And I pulled out my phone. I emailed my attorney. Trademark muzzle loader in the tobacco class. Thank you. Boom. Send. And business. And this is a good point because although that's somewhat ridiculous, that is very true. And I could have never made the Room 101 brand as you know it today. Like if you said, hey, Booth, if you were going to start over, well, it's like, oh my God, I'd literally rather ram my face into a fucking drinking fountain. But if you were going to start over and do this all over again, would you recreate Room 101 the same way? And it would be absolutely fucking impossible because all of these blends, both by formula and construction and composition, to create the final experience under combustion for the smoker and for myself, because I'm somewhat selfish,
Mhm.
and the brand architecture for each individual brand could have never been made. They were all inspired by real life events. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Am I losing everyone?
No.
Do you want me to talk about more dick stuff? What are we doing? Does that seem more exciting? When I said the dick thing, everyone was
Everybody,
like,
oh,
it was cracking, and then it was like, then I got serious, and everybody's like, whoa, we can't handle him both ways. You know, and you know what else is funny? This is herein lies the beautiful thing about this business. Not only are all these little brands authentic creative output, right, that were born inspired by certain things at certain times, but you know, I always loved, well, it's less clear now than it was then. There's a lot of white noise in the air. It doesn't mean that there's not a lot of really rad shit out there too, because there is. But when I got into the game, it was far less people doing what I was doing. In fact, I was like the youngest one, right? So I was getting lumped into these conversations, you know, where people were sliding my name into conversations with other people that I looked up to, you know, and it was a trip to be included in that circle, but I was, and it was a timing thing, and also I think a merit of concept also, where you know we began to earn our stripes and carve out our own path. Even that John Huber says that, carve your path, carve our trench in the business, right? A unique trench.
Right.
I don't like to use other people's shit, even though that was unknowingly. It was natural in the conversation.
It came, yeah. It just
Natural.
Very
It
natural.
flowed. It flowed.
But then it was his thing, and I was like, wait, let me take a turn here. So, but at the time, all of those guys, it was funny, man, because it was like these fucking memes where it's like, look at the owners of the dogs that look like their dogs, right? Or the things, or you know, what unflushed shits in public bathrooms look like politicians, or is that something I just made up? So that's actually a good. You guys need to start the Instagram for that. So, but my point
Hey,
is
you
that
don't know. JJ will have that locked in by
Yeah.
10 o'clock tonight.
get the URL. Yeah, polish hits. Oh my god,
Polish it. There you go.
polish hits. Do
Perfect.
it.
Hold
Fucking,
on,
it's
I'm
free
on-
all day. I just want to
hold on.
participate. I want to contribute
Absolutely.
at some point, organically. Now, these guys, their brands were authentic, authentic output from them, right? And it was a really cool time, man. It was like everybody. I don't think anybody in that circle, in that clique of people, actually knew the mark that they were leaving at the time, because everybody was just running around trying to actually make it happen and trying to do their own thing, you know, and create this thing that was genuinely like, my brand has always been this tribute to this thing that I love, right? And it's kind of like my personal rendition of it, my twist on it, you know. And that was the same for all those other guys at the time, you know, and I think that later it became very clear, but at the time we had no concept that we were carving out an entirely new segment within a global market, you know, and that's a little dick weighty, but it's true. You know, that is true. I mean, it was to become, you know, then it was like there was a boutique segment of the market, and then people started calling it craft, and you know, whatever they're gonna fucking call it next or whatever, you know, but it didn't exist before that, you know, and so that's Muzzleloader. Johnny Tobacconaut was born in 2015. Next year is going to be his 10th anniversary already.
Wow.
Can you believe it? Jonathan P. Tobacconaut, your friend of mine.
Do we hear
10 years old.
do we hear a 10-year anniversary special edition? Maybe.
Maybe. It'd be fucking crazy if we did, right, bro? Oh my God. What if we do that? Just kidding. We're doing it. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Maybe. No. Maybe. Maybe. So, but that blend is a new iteration and a twist on his traditional roots in terms of blend composition, made with AJ Fernandez. And I sat down with AJ, and this was really a cool. I love working with guys of his caliber because they're so fucking good at what they do and so connected to their craft that they can actually translate my insanity into what I want, because I know what the fuck I want. If you ask Henderson Ventura, you say, what can you tell me about Matt Booth? He'll say Matt Booth knows what the fuck he wants. 100%. Because I will sit there perched on your shoulder like a defecating gargoyle until I fucking get it. Exactly what I want. And I sat down with AJ and I said, AJ, you know, we need to make Connecticut in our collection, right? And he said, cool, you know, what do you know, what's the personality? Because I describe a lot of my cigars, the way that tobaccos marry and interact with each other, and the end result, I give him human characteristic. That's just how I do it, you know. And I told him at the time, I said, I need this to be the Davidoff anniversary number 3 with testicles. And he looked at me and he nodded. The information was transmitted. And then this is what became. And I defy you to fucking tell me that is not what that is.
It is, and it's, you know, I'm not a huge Connecticut smoker, to be honest with you. I'm more of a Habano Maduro type smoker, and this one has some balls to it. Yeah.
It's fucking erotic.
Yeah.
It's completely fucking erotic. It's multidimensional. It's sophisticated. It's got gas where you need it, but it also has
Mellows out.
balance
The
and
creaminess.
sophistication to its profile that like a Connecticut smoker can smoke that
Mhm.
and not be turned off by it. But you smoking the mid to dark brown leafage, that keeps you plugged in. You retro, that's got Rockstar in the nose, man.
I
And
do.
that comes from all the
Absolutely.
Nicaraguan filler. It's got
Yep.
crisp white spice in the nose. This is probably my favorite blend of ours, without contest, is the Jonathan P. Tobacco.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what does the
Not
P stand?
Makubu?
What does the P
Huh?
stand for?
I don't know yet,
Oh, okay.
but it's provocative.
It is provocative. Johnny Provocative. There we go.
And there's a whole story about that too. There's an episodical saga that's connected to Jonathan P. Tobacco. You know, because Jonathan P. Tobacco is the son of Johnny Tobacco. You see. Now, and we can get into that later if you're not tired of me incessantly running my. You guys asked for this, by the way.
We did.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we did.
You're DMing each other right now. Like, did we fucking what the fuck? Fucking Booth. Oh yeah, show me your fucking dick scanners. I see them. Reach for the sky. So
Hey, don't tempt me with a good time.
yeah, man, of course. So, did you know that there are now? It's not across the board, okay, but there are certain primate groups, okay, that have a very unique way of de-escalating the bros, okay? Because look, unlike humans, primates actually avoid physical conflict with each other because they know that should
Mhm.
they engage, one of them is probably going to die
Mhm.
or be so damaged that they can no longer provide protection, care for their offspring and their woman or their stable. They have stables, I think.
Yeah,
They do a lot of things better than we do, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, they do.
You know, and so instead of looking for it, they actually avoid it, right? Now,
Right.
like two guys fighting at a fucking baseball game. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine the difference? Like the monkeys would have avoided, they're less than monkeys. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it like that, right? So, but like some of the primates, when one of their boys is getting escalated and they can sense, like, okay, this is going to be a fucking problem, right? Like, we got to
Mhm.
chill Johnny out here. They'll jack him off.
Yeah. And
Bros,
here's-
jack off bros. And by the way, the gift of that is post-nut clarity.
You boys are just gonna be fighting. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
It's post-nut clarity. What an amazing support system. Can you imagine that?
too
No.
much time. Too much time to
Hey,
stop.
yeah, man. Listen, I'll notify your next of kin.
And then he de-escalated. And so he's not going to fight. There's going to be no damage.
Oh man.
Well, man,
Adrenaline
They
is
saved his
I-
life.
Hey,
Or someone else.
I gotta tell you, I might have to change my name from Silverback tonight.
I don't think the gorillas jack each other off. I think they just rip each other's arms. Yeah, it's different.
There you go.
But
There you
actually,
go.
you know what they do is they rip the dicks off when they fight. It's really interesting. You know, you have to admire this from from this standpoint, right? Like,
Mhm.
so when they engage each other, these guys aren't like, they don't have a fucking flip phone and they're calling, like Silverback One is calling his cousin that lives on AIDS Island I heard wherever there's an island, right? all the AIDS
Allegedly.
comes, right? It's very scary. That's scary. Like they should do Blair Witch Project on AIDS Island. That shit would be fucking terrifying.
Oh my
Yeah.
Lord.
Think about it. Let it sit in. Let that sink in for a second.
I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven.
What about AIDS? Which part? The
Yeah.
AIDS Island?
This is my
Now-
type of stuff right here.
Now, but think about this.
No,
Now and I was thinking about this today. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and this has just been on my mind.
Mhm.
So I feel like, and I actually kind of need. I think I want to I need to talk about this a little more because I'm really feeling this process. So like these guys aren't communicating the way that we communicate. So this is innately woven into the tapestry of their genetics to do this. Okay. And so if they engage each other, they have, and by the way, first of all, they're either attacked or there's no way out. This is a last resort because of the severity, right? They accept that. So the first two things that they do is they take the nose and they take the dick of the opponent. They tear them both off. And I find it to be very interesting because one, the facial disfiguration, okay? Like one, if they survive, they forever will be marked. And all the females will know that he got fucked up and lost, right? Allegedly, right? Of course, you can get your nose torn off and still win, but like it's not, you don't look as good anymore.
Right?
I mean, imagine George Clooney with his nose torn off by an ape.
he's going to be a 4.
Not as hot.
Emasculation of mass
That's the
proportion.
difference. He can fucking afford he could get that fixed. It would never look the same, and we all know it. So look, here's the deal. He would be reminded on a daily basis, right? He leans over at a little pond, get a little lap of water, and he sees that. He's destroyed, right?
Mhm.
And then they take the dick, and so they completely demasculate. You're no longer a warrior. You can no longer perform your function, right? I mean,
Right.
they kill him without killing him. And this is, I mean, even if he survives, he's dead. So his like he's been psychologically murdered. And so this is vicious warrior combat level shit, right? Like this, and this is innately their process. And then they'll get around to tearing each other's arms off and shit after that.
So they grant a little grace in the process.
Wait, what was the last part?
They grant a little grace in the process.
I don't know about
We,
that.
we'll let you stay alive, but we're gonna take your
No.
so-called.
No. I mean, they want to kill each other. I mean, if they're fighting each other, it typically is to the death, right?
Mhm.
For one of them, right? But if they do survive, they've already killed them. It's fucking mean.
Yeah,
That's vicious.
That is
Yeah.
vicious.
Oof.
Golly.
And we're in the greatest country on the planet that also is one of the most litigious countries on the planet, where people fight from behind, 1,000 layers of insulation with the pen and the email, right?
Keyboard
And there's-
warriors.
And they financially demasculate. Actually, it's not just masculation; it's like both. They financially murder, right?
Very true.
I find that to be baby dick energy compared to the art of war of the primate.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
God, this.
I agree.
And there's the fucking interview.
Yeah, listen, the art of war, right? If you could get exactly, peace, right? Out, drop the mic. That's it, drop the mic, it's over.
And that's it.
That's right.
Take me to the airport.
That's
Yeah,
it.
fuck you and good night.
That's right. Listen, if you
Hey.
beat somebody psychologically, I agree with you 100%, right? Psychologically, the fight, no matter how great that person or how great that warrior is, if you're able to get and infiltrate that man's mind and his subconscious of being able to there's nothing that he could do to you that could do any harm to you. That's got to be some next level shit that will really, really screw your head up, you know. Especially when you're so used to conquering people with that fear. When you finally meet with somebody, listen, and I'll share this. You know, I've always been that person that I never go looking for a fight, but I'm always prepared and ready for a fight, right? Because that person that's looking for a fight will always win and conquer the person that's not ready. But when they encounter the person that's ready for a fight at all times, most of the time, and it's been in my cases because I've had 1 or 2 fights in my life, you know, that they weren't ready for someone to match their energy, if not more. You know, so the psychological aspect of war is huge. It really is. So I
More
get
than
that
human
concept.
I think that the next time, you know, because it happens at the gas station, this is the thing. Somebody's escalated, and you're like, look, here's the deal. There's 2 options here. Okay. But let's talk about your level of escalation.
Mhm.
Let me help you bring it down a notch. Instead of fighting, I offer to jack you off. What do you say?
Hey, instead of fighting, you get an old fashioned in the alley.
They all fashioned in the alley, dude.
The other option is the compact block with the double stack. Or I jack you off. Which one's it going to be now? Can you imagine the court thing if it actually went down? Like that he forced me to allow him to jack me up. De-escalate. Stop. Just I de-escalated the situation.
Your Honor, I was violated.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, verbal judo did not work. Verbal judo did not work.
They'd have me on the news. They'd have me, bro. I would be on the fucking. I would be a clip. I would be like, oh my God. I could ascend to the level of the my safe word is pineapple juice guy. Like my video would be in the line with that, and it would be the interview, the news interview where I was describing my process.
See, what had happened was
He turned me into a shake weight.
I think that we're onto something, because also, and you want to talk about, you know, psychological, they're like, okay, possibly this dude is a psychopath, and I have just engaged someone that I probably should not have,
Mhm.
but I could also get a savage hand job. The internal conflict would be so visceral.
Oh man.
I mean, what happened?
What happened?
Is that it? I got kicked out?
No,
No,
Don,
you
I'm up here now. Wait,
what the
somebody
hell is
left.
Don?
no, I'm in the
Oh,
middle.
look.
Okay, I was like, "Fuck!" All the shit I just said, and that's what
No.
kicked me, that's what they kicked me out for?
What?
I was like, I haven't even done anything yet, man.
Oh man.
Give me 5 more minutes. Fuck.
So I was just about to say I heard something today that'll change your life, and it's right along with this
I'm
whole.
fucking ready. I'm so ready for this.
Every heterosexual man
Yes.
has a bisexual hand.
Ah! This is totally in line with what I'm saying.
Change your life.
A helping hand. A helping hand. Everybody needs a helping hand every once in a while. Makes you think differently about that age-old adage. Yeah.
Listen,
Set on before it goes numb.
yeah, cool, that's it.
You
Listen,
know?
every man's hand that you shake, he's had his dick in it. I'm just saying.
And possibly one of his bros.
If he's a fighter.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So I have a question about this Nawakubi. Okay.
Perfect. Tell me.
And I'm very much into the Japanese culture. You know, I absolutely have always been fascinated with the Japanese and their culture and their lifestyle per se. I've been in the martial arts, you know, practically my whole life, and most of my studies are in Japan. And I know that Nawakubi in translation stands for like severed heads and stuff like that, right? And so I know that I've read that you have, because you flew to Asia, correct? While you were in the Marines.
Yeah, I was deployed there a couple times. I was there for a year, basically in total,
Did
in
you
the
fall
service.
in love with their culture when you were there? And because a lot of your stuff has a lot of Japanese culture or
Mhm.
symbolization, involved in it. I mean, does it relate to your time in the Marine Corps or your travels
Yes.
into the Asian?
Well, now a little Matt Booth history. If anybody is inclined to give a fuck, which you're asking,
Absolutely.
so I think you are. So let me tell you. So my stepdad uh, grew up in a shack with no plumbing in East Orange, New Jersey, in the 40s and 50s. And he joined the Air Force and he went to Okinawa. Okay. And he became Dances with Wolves, Japan.
Huh.
And he speaks fluently. He even writes brushstroke kanji, has a set that he can pull out and do like your name or tree or something, you know. And so my first information that began to be fed to me was by him growing up, you know. And he and I didn't see eye to eye when I was growing up. But as soon as I went to Japan, it changed our entire the entire dynamics of our relationship, you know. And because I immediately kind of understood the vibration that he was on, and you know, I also um, began achieved a phenomenal depth of respect for their system and culture there. And Namakubi, actually, my first introduction to Namakubi was a book that he had, and he showed it to me as I was a young teen. And, you know, it were small single line sketches of these heads that were presented, you know, how a head would be presented to, you know, the head of the samurai family from your enemy and all that. And later, as I got into tattoo culture, Horiyoshi, who is, you know, one of the most known and noteworthy uh, modern tattoo artists, shockingly from Japan. I know, name, you might think Cleveland.
I was gonna say I
Uh,
thought Kentucky. Actually, I thought Kentucky.
he's like tattooing next to the Skyline Chili in Cincinnati. It sounds Horiyoshi. No, okay, just kidding. So I know Japanese, right, gentlemen, and I've had the honor of being tattooed by him. You know, and Horiyoshi actually has a series of scroll paintings of Namakubi, um, of his wife's head, and all the blood on them is actually his blood.
Hmm.
I didn't ask any questions after
Yeah.
that. I just kind of said, "Nice, these are cool, 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 nice. I like these. Very nice, very nice, 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 nice." Yes. So, uh, but when I started making my initial jewelry designs in the early 2000s for our brand, you know, I was doing something. See, this is kind of like in my nature. Like I've always got to like fuck around a little bit, you know. I've always got to tamper with tradition, but not distort the roots, right?
Right.
To pay respect and pay tribute to the roots, but to modify, you know, where appropriate, right? And so I was doing what like guys would, you know, refer to as like biker silvers, like heavier
Mhm.
stuff, you know, skulls and shit like that. And I was, you know, entering, you know, a world where, you know, a lot of that stuff is like, you know, skulls with like lightning bolts on them and shit like this, right? And I was like, you know, I'm going to do something different. And I am going to make renditions of these deities from Buddhist mythology, masks from no theater, protective characters, sculptural works that I saw when I was in Japan, because they're you know, potent, they're powerful, you know, they're deeply, you know, they have depth and significance. And I thought, what better way to immortalize these concepts and into this wearable, you know, sculptural art? Eventually, I made skulls because you got to make everybody wants fucking skulls and shit. But my first things were these deities, right? So I've always had an appreciation for that, and porting that style and that spirit into our products crossed over from our wearable to our combustible at some point. You know, so that's the long-winded answer to your question, I think.
No, it is. I mean, I've noticed that, and that was the first thing that gravitated me to your brand, and was the caricatures that you picked up that you
Mhm.
used to symbolize your cigars. You know, what you got there? Are you chewing on it?
Fucking shit's falling apart. I ripped the end off. It's dry. It's just, I'm a mess. Don't mind me.
So there you go. I know the guys that we have a few questions. I'm gonna pass it over to JJ. JJ, I know you have a couple of questions you want to ask him. So
Yes,
you
sir.
go, my brother.
Mr. Booth, can you share us the story behind the name Room 101?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not? So I was looking for this name for my brand, right? And I was always a tremendous fan of George Orwell, um, his work 1984, and of course you go into like Brave New World and Fahrenheit 451, and all of these they are the storylines are very different, but the core significance is all very much the same. And 1984 is kind of a little uh, honorable nod to a component of George Orwell's 1984. And the premise of this story is that the man is trying to snuff out individuality and eradicate and abolish individual creative freedoms and the ability for creative expression and individuality, amongst other things, right?
Absolutely.
And I happen to be a massive proponent and fan of all those things. And I believe that they are very, very key components of what it is to be human and should not be fucked with. And so I named my brand Room 101.
Perfect.
Hmm.
And as you stated, you started in the jewelry business first, correct?
I don't want to say in any business because I don't even understand how any of this has worked this far. Actually, no, I do. I am the most stubborn fucking person you have ever encountered in your life. So I just won't stop. And that's how this has all worked. But so far, yeah. But I started Room 101, and the vision was that it was going to be a multi category lifestyle collection.
Okay.
I started with jewelry design. That was kind of one of my first passions. And but the goal was to evolve it someday with some sort of smokable and drinkable product. And this is really a throwback to what luxury lifestyle brands, European lifestyle brands were like in the 60s. Before all this fucking regulation started to restrict how brands could conduct their business and the items that they could offer under one house mark. And so that was my little idea there, born on my coffee table at Melrose and Genesee. A kidney shaped vintage coffee table that always fell over because it only had 3 legs, but it looked cool as fuck.
And my what sets Room 101 cigars apart from other brands? I mean, obviously your signage and your logos and everything. They're
Yeah, man, but that's just dressing, right?
Right.
Now, but here's the deal. I believe that the completion of the product is the marriage of both. I think that you must put nothing short of the appropriate amount of investment and care into the curation of your product.
absolutely.
But then it also must be dressed to reflect the amount of care in its composition, right? So it is not finished until it is dressed. I mean, imagine just a bunch of fucking vulgar, undulating plant rods, naked, just gross,
Plant
out
rods.
there with nothing on them. Rex, veiny, pulsating.
I love
You
that.
go into a humidor and the cigars aren't dressed, you might as well be in the third bathroom stall from the left in the Flying J truck stop outside of Des Moines, Iowa. Just a bunch of pulsating rods just eyeballing you down. No?
Cyclone wars.
The
You-
one-eyed snake looking at you winking.
I mean, next time you go into a
I need to jump in
humidor,
on
I
you.
will haunt you. Don't
I don't mean
you
to jump in on
forget
you,
it.
JJ,
And then you're gonna be like, oh, but Booth is polite. Look at these fucking Namakubi that are dressed. Let me get one of these because these
Mhm.
other are fucking vulgar right now. Gross. Now,
so I heard a saying that you when you on one of your video that you were talking about the reimagination of the Sancho Panza line, and you said, and I quote, the cigar has to cash the check that its ass wrote with the presentation.
yes. Did I say that? That
You
sounds
did.
like something I'd say.
You
sounds
did.
I am highly fucking agreeable to that statement and with that statement. But one cannot stand in the place of the other. You cannot just fancifully dress bullshit because that's garbage. That's dressed up garbage, right?
Right.
And I think that for me, wait, what was the question? I need a jump start here.
I
I've
just
been
said
talking too much shit.
the cigar
Huh?
has to cash the check that its ass wrote with the presentation.
No, man, before that. What were we talking about? What was I saying? What was I
JJ
talking
asked-
about, man?
JJ, it was your question.
But what
Yeah,
the fuck was the question, man?
Uh,
Help me.
I don't even know anymore.
Oh my god. Okay, so no, I know. Oh yeah. No. What's different? I got you. I'm back on
Yes.
track. Now here's the deal. Here's the deal. Every one of my cigars are very different from one another. And they all carry a very signature personality. And they are meant to be a collection of experiences. And by the way, just like I could have never created this cachet of brand exercises other than how it came to be organically, right, in time, based on real life events, as they say, right? These
Right.
blends could have never been the way that they were either, because they were also all created in time and in different stitches of time with different partners in production. Okay. And by the way, not only partners in production, but as I have tread down the seemingly endless tobacco trail of tears. No, wait, that's the marketing. That's the selling. I'm sorry. The creation is beautiful. It's not that. So I'm in the cigar business, not the cigar hobby, and sometimes it becomes painful.
Mm.
I feel for my brothers in the business. So, but we fight through it because we love it,
Absolutely.
and so we fight for what we love. Now, also paying attention to the best of my ability and not being born into this space, but fighting my way into this space, I had a lot of learning to do, right? And I had to catch the fuck up if I was going to become even moderately proficient at participating at a factory level. So every one of these blends is also an exercise, and it's a byproduct of my timeline and time and grade in terms of that process too. You
Okay.
see? So what makes our brand different is that it's been in the smokable space solely. It's been built, from my first time in the factory over 16 years by someone that was dedicated to learning and delivering something that was authentic and real and a genuine creative output of myself. And these products are also the byproduct of my collaborative process with the blenders and with the factories. They don't taste like something they make, they taste like something they made with me. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
Yep.
So that's what makes it different. And then, of course, the way that it looks, although over the years, certain things start to look, like some people say, hey, I like the way that Booth does that. Maybe we're going to do it too, and all that kind of. I'm not saying that happens, but it's happened, a little bit. So
There's some copycatting done a lot
What I love the most is the color palette you use. I love
that
the
shit is
color palette.
nice, right? That I'm gonna paint my Riviera that color, bro.
It's a beautiful product, and it's a beautiful cigar.
Mhm.
You know,
Looks good in your mouth.
thank you.
You're welcome. You are fucking welcome.
Enjoy smoking. Man.
Oh, man.
But so that's what makes it different.
Mm.
Okay.
That's what makes it different.
And
Yeah.
what's the
I-
most out of everything you've done? What's the most rewarding thing you've got from Room 101 so far? Whether it be your jewelry line, your clothing, the cigars. What's the most rewarding part of it all?
I mean, collectively and overarchingly so, I would say that this little dream became a much larger reality as a byproduct of never stopping, never stopping the fight forward, right? And
Perfect.
that not only has this afforded me the ability to afford my family a life that, from where my wife and I have come from, we could have never dreamt, you know, or beyond. I mean, grateful is like almost like spitting in the face of how grateful that I am for that. And the fact that somehow, some way, that my transmission has antenna that are out there that are receiving it and that are responding favorably to it.
Yes.
And it's not just some half-cocked like act of bullshittery, like it's a concept that clearly has some degree of merit. Otherwise, it would have never been received in the first place. And
Absolutely.
so I think that that is the most satisfying, because, you know, the ultimate validation is that people want to pay for it.
Yep.
People work hard for what they make, right? And the fact that they would elect to pay or to
Right.
invest that money into something that I make because they're compelled to do so or they want it, this is the ultimate validation of the brand and the product.
Like I said, it's a great cigar, and I can't wait to try more in your portfolio. But thank you for being here, and I'm gonna pass the mic over to my buddy PC. He's got a few questions for you.
I
Yeah.
am aroused and ready to receive your questions.
I love it.
Hey,
Right? This is a nice
hey,
moment.
hey, welcome to the podcast. And I would like to, ask you about, some of the collaborations that you've done with AJ and the Caldwell um, um, brand. And how did you get with those two companies? Because they seem to have a different product that's very, very good in my opinion.
Yes, they're not too shabby, huh?
No.
So I am a potpourri of humanity.
Hmm.
I could be in the room with 5 people that wouldn't talk to each other, let alone even look at each other, because they would feel that they had nothing in common. And by the end of the night, we would all be maybe not the best of friends, but we would all be very much connected and realizing that we had way more in common than maybe initially thought. And I could be the nucleus of that psychological circle jerk any day of the week. I love connecting people.
Right.
And I see, and look, Rosewood, the long one, Vertical Jones, my dear friend, the villain of the cigar industry, very vile gentleman, not to be trusted. I love him and is one of my very best friends that I've made in this business. A terrible person. And I met him at the first and I believe only ever Honduran Cigar Festival. And I was a couple, maybe like 2-3 years into the game at that point, and he was there, getting his foot in the door, kind of making his moves and looking for some products for. At the time, he had a company called Hotel Humidor, and it was actually a very unique exercise because it was a very hand-selly type of intimate concierge service for high-end hotels in Miami, and he would outfit them with small humidors that were curated of his choosing, a selection of his choosing. The cigar menu at many of these hotels, because unlike most other places in the country, in Miami, they smoke cigars like a motherfucker there. So they have like a little cigar menu at the end of dinner in a lot of these high-end restaurants, right? And a lot of those are
Right.
serviced by him, and so we became very fast friends, and I got to watch from the sidelines as he built his business, and then at one point, we decided to realize our friendship in a combustible collaborative form, in cigar form, and then I said, hey, fuck, let's make this spicy and let's go work with AJ too. So it's like a
Okay.
trifecta. Yeah. And that's how that happened,
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot
Okay.
more, granular
Right.
detail to it, but that's the overall, that's the cliff notes of it,
Okay.
and both of them have such a different style, which I very much adore and appreciate both. And I thought, how unique if I could like entwine these two, and what kind of outcome would that provide? What kind of product would that generate? And of course, I
Right.
could be tinkering around in there too.
Of course. And,
The mad scientists,
yeah.
locked up in one room.
And we often talk about boutique cigars and stuff like that, and a lot of people that's trying to get into the cigar industry. What would you have to say to someone that's creating a cigar or have created a cigar about trying to level up in the cigar industry that's considered to be boutique cigars?
So they've already made the mistake of making the cigar. Am I
Yes, some of the
okay?
people have made the
So they
cigars. Yes,
already
sir.
fucked up to begin. So fuck it, we're here, right? Like the milk is spilled. Like what's next? Okay. Do they hate money or can they stop now? Which one is the?
I think they're too far in
Are
to
we
stop.
having? They're too. They're
They're
too deep.
vested.
They've
Yeah,
got to
they're
see it
vested.
through.
Yeah,
Okay.
they got to see it through.
Well, I mean, I think that's the whole point. You are not allowed to stop. Not only are you not ever allowed to stop, you're never allowed to take your foot off the gas. Not for a second. And
Right.
quite frankly, and this is not just with the cigar business, but this is very true as it applies, right? So the only way that they could possibly fail is if they stop.
Right.
So you just simply cannot fucking stop. And by the way, when the moment hits you that you think that you are ready to lay down, once you lay down on the floor in the fetal position in the Courtyard Marriott outside of the airport in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, sucking your thumb, wondering what the fuck you're doing with your life, and you look up at the crack of light coming in from
Mhm.
under your door, you will look at that and you will understand, you will remember my words, that is still just the start line.
Mm.
And you
Wow.
must fucking suck it up, stand up, and reach down and grab those beautiful balls that the primates haven't ripped off of you yet, and you got to go fucking get after it.
All I have is my balls and my words.
And if you're in the cigar business, a negative bank account. But who's
And a negative bank.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's
But
it. You just can't stop, man. You
yeah.
have dedicated
Okay.
yourself to something. You might not have known how much of a gut check that it was going to require, but like and at any time you can stop. I mean, people drift away, give up, all the time,
Yeah.
But if you want to do it, then you are not allowed to stop, and that's it.
Right. And this question is: you were looking for a different avenue to push your cigars and stuff like that. You ended up going with a Scandinavian company to get your cigars, extended to different markets. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
You know, I'm a fan of Norwegian death metal.
Hmm.
And I felt like they bake them a little different over in those parts. And I know that you know these guys hail from Copenhagen, so it's not exactly the same. But when we're talking about, like the children of Bodom and the power of the Dark Riff, this is something in their genetics. And I thought, if I'm going to catch another frequency here, and we're going to take things to the next level, I'm going to need to pair with people that are descendants of Scandinavian death lords, the
Right.
unkillable. Because if it's anything else, like I said, this tethers into your last question. I have to pair with people that, death doesn't decide for them; they decide for death, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
this was the partnership that I sought and I found in STG.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Makes sense.
I'm
Makes
sure they're
sense.
very pleased with that answer, by the way.
Hey, with that being said, I'm gonna pass it up to Don. Don, take it away.
Well, the first thing I want to say
Love
Fuck
is
it.
yeah, Don. Let's
the,
go.
the gentleman from the smoke ring in Webster, Texas, asked me to tell you hello.
Which one? And you're using the word gentleman, so I'm curious.
Well, yeah. So I was talking to Larry, the owner there, and I was picking up a couple of cigars, and I told him that we were gonna be talking to you, and he said, "Oh, tell him." I said, "Hey."
I fucking love those dudes, man.
Yeah.
That was one of the first stores that I ever conducted an event in,
Really?
like very early on
Yeah.
in my time. They were in a different suite. They
Right.
physically moved over,
They
right?
moved over into the corner now. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man. One of the first groups that supported me, and I fucking love those dudes, man.
Good deal. So I was sitting here thinking about, you're making this journey. You're making this jewelry. You're on this journey. Do you just one day
I'm
just
on a
go?
fucking journey already.
Do you just one day just go? You know what? I'm going to make a cigar. Or how does that manifest itself?
You want to hear the story?
Sure.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
want to hear the story. I want to hear the story. Yes.
Let it rip, Tater
Now-
Chip.
Now the vision was to create the modern day Alfred Dunhill. Okay, what is the Dunhill, Alfred Dunhill, the quintessence of all multi-class gentleman and gentle lady jet-setting lifestyle brand of 1965? What does that look like by 2025 if I apply my dressing and direction to it? Right. This was my dream, is my dream, and we're kind of living in it at this point because I have my 3 pillar categories commercialized now and in market. But I dreamt that this brand would feature a cigar because a lot of kind of the underground luxury brands that were hailing from Los Angeles at the time had certain elements that were related to smokable goods, combustion, but it was all geared around cigarette smoking. And I thought, we're not savages here at Room 101. We smoke cigars. So we're going to have a cigar at some point. Now, I have had no uncle or family member in any business or industry that I've ever entered into. I've never had any real entree other than fighting my way in and having amazing partners along the way that saw either the potential in what we were doing or believed in it so deeply that they actually shared vision with me, which is actually what is happening now with the relationship with STG. We genuinely share the same vision for this brand, and I think it's really fucking unique, a really fucking unique opportunity for our future together. Back in the day, I was conducting promotional exercises, which are now referred to by large marketing firms as event activations. Okay. But at the time, they were more like rager parties. Okay. Now, from my jewelry business, I was featuring our brand in industry trade shows related to fashion. Okay. And I very quickly came to the decision that I wasn't going to be able, because look, I worked 60 hours a week at night. And then I went downtown to, the factory that one day I would become a partner in and learn basic bench skills and built our sample collection and on Red Bull and an empty stomach, and I I dreamt that one day we would have a cigar as a component of our brand. And so what I did was wait, hold on. I got ahead of myself. So what I did is I stopped showing at the trade shows. And what I did is I started leveraging relationships in my network. And some of my private clients were pretty established club promoters and the like in Vegas at the time, where these shows were held. And I approached one of them, who was one of the top guys at the Nine Group, which was like a big to do at the time because they ran all the nightlife at the Palms Casino when the Palms was like super fucking cracking, right? And I asked him if I could borrow his nightclub for an evening to promote our brand. And long story short, he allowed. He was gracious enough, and their group was gracious enough to allow me that real estate for an evening. And we threw a banger of an after party for that fucking trade show. Woo! Very successful. And he pulled me aside and he said, "Look, the management is extremely happy with the outcome. You can come back and do this whenever you want, Matt Booth." And I said, "I think I just might." So these trade shows happen every 6 months. And I needed to up the ante, right, on our little promotional exercise. And so what I did is I decided, obviously, I need to hire rappers. I need to turn this into like a private rap show and escapade type thing, right? An extravaganza of sorts. And this started to become expensive. And this was the whole point of not doing the shows, was that I was underfunded. I was funding myself, of course. And so I said, well, fuck, man, I'm going to need to get some help here and have some people pitch in on this party. Several sponsors came on board, one of which was a larger established brand called Camacho. You might have heard of them.
Huh.
And at the time, they had a young, aspiring, and hungry marketing director that was looking to find ways to promote their products differently, because it was kind of I don't want to say the atmosphere in the business was stale, but there wasn't something revolutionary going on at the time. It was kind of like standard fare, right? And I think he was very impressed by the culture that we had built around our brand, because you would have all the tables set up in the club, and all of them were taken by different groups that were all affiliated with our brand, all supporting our brand. But you would have guys that were like custom car builders, fashion designers, like youth outreach guys that were like reformed deviants in a former life that were now helping youth and whatnot. Any cross section of humanity you could imagine was there. But the unifying factor is they were all supporting our brand, all wearing our product, and part of this culture that we were building. And I stayed in touch with them following the party. By the way, the cigars and shit that they brought, it was like a massive hit. Beautiful accompaniment to our event. And we stayed in touch, and I was pressing them to introduce me to somebody that could build me humidors for my brand. Hindsight, understanding how poorly they fucking sell, I don't think I would have ever made that. But at the time, I was this was solely built on passion and dream. There was like no fucking logic attached to it whatsoever. It was like realizing my vision was the only mission, right? And so 100 times over, it should have never worked, right? This is kind of what I said earlier. But it was a byproduct of that, kind of continuing volley of conversation, where at one point he asked me, he said, "Hey, would you ever consider, making a collaborative cigar with us?" And I said, "Fuck, yeah, I'd love to. Sure, let's do it." And like 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Honduras to visit a cigar factory for the first time in my life. And there we began,
Wow.
Awesome.
That young aspiring marketing director became the president of Davidoff.
Wow.
So he was no fucking slouch either, right?
Right.
No.
And so a beast and an accomplished businessman in his own right. So, and shout out to him, by the way, because he more than 90% of anyone else saw in Room 101 what I believed in, but he saw that it would translate to tobacco form. And I think that it might have. You know,
Absolutely.
what the fuck do I know? But, you know, so I effectively got into the cigar business by throwing rager after parties in Las Vegas
Okay. Cool. Cool.
No,
that were physical expressions and realizations of what our brand was culturally, like the movement and energy surrounding it. But we had to shut it down. It got too crazy, but they were cool for a while, you know.
so you got the wearable line and the combustible line, as you love to say, and the drinkable line.
Yes.
Is there anything else rattling around? Is there anything else rattling around out there that, like, something to add to this
I mean,
Resume.
there always is, but we have our hands full, and I think that trio. Well, the trio is, I think, ultimately potent together, right? So
Absolutely.
there have always been little ancillary goods that we've done over the years. We've done some leather stuff and all that, but I'm going to stick with those main three. Yeah.
And then just one last thing to pay homage to another video I watched where you said your favorite cigar in the world was
Fucking Padron Anniversary 64, Principe Natural Wrapper.
There you go, baby.
All day.
I grabbed
FedEx me that, bro. What are you doing?
I'm smoking it. That's what I'm doing.
Unbelievable.
Truly appreciate you being here with us, and I'm gonna pass it over to Panda. Thank you so much, man. It's been
My
a
man.
treat.
Oh man. Well, Mr. Booth, we greatly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and kind of chopping it up with us and kind of giving us an insight of your world. I have met you twice, and I'm sure you don't remember me, but I've met you at the Great
Blue
Smoke.
Oyster? Oh, the Great Smoke,
No,
yes.
that too, but we wasn't supposed to talk about that. But I got you.
It was in that Stalin Des Moines, wasn't it?
Don't you worry about that, buddy.
You know the one.
What happened over there between Booth and I is between Booth and I, buddy.
Cap-
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, bud. Stay in your lane. So I've had the privilege of meeting you briefly at the Great Smoke because I live in West Palm, and you know that Abe from Smoking is the one that throws these the events at the Great Smoke, and you know you always. This is what we see here is exactly what you portray yourself, and this is how you are in reality. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen nothing different in your character because I have been very fortunate to meet people in the industry that they are one way in front of people and then behind closed doors they are completely the opposite. And I'm sure you yourself have a different side of you because everyone does. But you know, you always seem to be like a very happy, very grateful individual, which I think is what attracted me to you, not in no Diddy way. But anyways,
Don't be shy.
yeah, exactly. So what would you contribute that inner happiness that you have inside? Because we all have something that forces us to thrive and want to accomplish things. Like I know for me, it was when my daughter was born. You know, to me, you know, as you can see, this is what I do. I'm in law enforcement, you know, and I was deep undercover. And when my daughter was born, my life drastically changed. Like my priority was no longer just taking care of me. You know what I mean? And I knew that whatever I did would be a reflection of my child. And I would never want to bring any embarrassment to my children or to my family. You know, that's my happiness. That's what drives me. What drives you and what contributes your lifestyle per se of happiness? Because like I said, I always see, and I appreciate you being genuine. I really do. Because we have a lot of phony people, and I hate to say this even a lot in this industry, and you're probably a little bit more subjected to it than we are, you know. But what drives you? What do you contribute that joy that you have inside?
Well, look, man, first and foremost, I can't be anything else but myself. Just the volume knob changes. You know what I mean? That's basically the only thing that changes. The intensity. The intensity. I'm very much feeling this conversation. So I'm very plugged in with you, you know, right now. I mean, from a business, there's a couple things. Before my son was born, and it carries on after him, you know, the idea that, you know, I'm in a state of kind of, I mean, everything's relative and everybody has their fucking harder days. When you're out there, you know, engaging with folks, you're not allowed to have any other kind of day except a good one, right? And it's not really
Right.
hard to do for me because no matter what I'm going through, you know, like for example, being at the Great Smoke, there's a line of a couple thousand people, and every one of them I'm having a unique interaction with that's intimate to our time together, whether it's 3 seconds or 3 minutes or 30 minutes, because sometimes I get stuck on a subject like the de-escalation by bros, which we talked about earlier. People need to rewind and watch that because I'm still in there now. But I'm also very cognizant of the fact that I would have been out of business a long fucking time ago if it wasn't for the person standing right in front of me and the person that's in line following that and following and you know, every one of them has probably bought at least one of our cigars, and if not, shame the fuck on you. No, I didn't say that. Oh my god, it's like a oof. Where did that buy our cigars? So the no, but I'm always grateful for the support, and because I know what it's like to not have it, right? And I also know that you know, I feel like it's my responsibility to the best of my ability show people and introduce people to what and who it is that they are supporting through their transactions. I could be a complete cocksucker. Why would you ever buy cigars from me? You know, and you know, so they have the right to know, right? And I think that that's my responsibility to communicate that to the best of my ability. I also, you know, look, my son and my family are the nucleus of everything that I do, right? And when he came into my life, my wife came into my life, like so many things fell into place, and there could be, and most of the time there is a complete hurricane of insanity surrounding me, but they are forever my anchor and my purpose, you know. And so and I think that far more so in the cigar space, that resonates as a currency. It's not something that's fabricated. Like I'm not, you know, pretending to be a Family Guy because I think it'll sell more dead plant dicks. It's just, you know, authentically what. Yeah, you write that shit down.
Hold
So,
on.
you know, but
Plant
that's
dicks.
true. It's
Hold
just,
on.
yeah, dead plant dicks.
Yeah,
Spelled, you know,
yeah.
English, no fancy spelling, no, you know, accents. You know. Capital
DPT,
letters.
man.
Yeah,
DPT.
DBT. Yeah, DBT. So, yeah, no. So that really is what keeps me going, man. And it's my purpose. And it's the reason that I do everything that I do, man. But I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for. Look, man, I could have fucked my life up when I was 16 years old. You know, there are a lot of guys that wake up in a violently different atmosphere 20 years later, realizing like, oh my God, I threw my life away. You know, and
Right.
I had the you know, the grace of the universe afforded me the opportunity to live the life that I live, and I'm never less than grateful for that. You know, and at least I'm conscious of it. I mean, I'm always learning, but I feel like I'm conscious to the best of my ability of those dynamics, and I'm grateful for it.
And I appreciate it because I'll be very honest and be very transparent with you. And these guys don't know me. I'm a very straightforward kind of person. You know what I mean? And there are people in the industry that I enjoy their cigars, but I don't enjoy the character. Okay, in the industry, so I kind of stay away from them because I know that at the end of the day, how do I say this? But not for me, that I don't sound like a dick, you know, because
Dick.
yeah, because I could be one. But the thing is, what you said has some relevancy because you know what? Because as a consumer and as a fan, you know, and I hate to even say this out loud, but I feel not that it's a moral obligation that you guys have per se, but I think that at a form of appreciation, like just like what you said, right? You appreciate me buying your product, me talking about your product, because to me, word of mouth is the best advertisement you could ever have, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to me, and if you go, yeah, listen, man, Matt Booth, Room 101, man, check out that Nabuki, try the Johnny Tobacco Knot. It's a great stick, but Matt Booth, let me tell you something, that guy is a complete douche, right? And I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Then people go, damn, man, why would I even want to buy a cigar from that guy if he's not even appreciative that I'm buying it from, for him because I enjoy it. And like I said, there's a lot of validity to what you just said, and I really appreciate that. I really do. My next question is, you've been very fortunate to collaborate with a lot of people, or at least being in certain circles. Is there anyone out there that you haven't collaborated with that you wish you could, or you maybe potentially in the near future will in the industry?
So I believe that I have someone that I am super horny for and have been for a long time and have a tremendous amount of respect for them on for a multitude of reasons, right? I loved their product before I even knew them, but I also know that I don't know that it's in the cards for us. It's not really political. Some people just have their system, and I don't see them as being open to doing it. I mean, and that's not for any, there's no reason other than I think that they just kind of stay in their own lane and are intimate to their own products. But I fucking love LFD, man. I love Skyscraper and his family. And I have, for me, my son is not, like I said, I wasn't born into this business. And I always kind of like from the other side of the room, I see, I'll go visit my friends, right? And I'll pop in and like bum a cigar from them because I like their cigars, you know what I mean? And like I'll see their family in generations working in the booth. And I tremendously admire that. Like it makes white light shine in my chest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not envious energy. It's adoration for the fact that that's their family system, and I think that and they have that magic, at LFD for sure. And but I just think kind of they do their own thing, man. So I don't actually think that would ever happen, but I would love to do it.
Yeah, I mean, and they obviously, people that don't know, La Flor de Dominican, Dominican, and they have some really good, strong tobacco. I mean, I love their notes. I love the chapter 1. It's funny. I favor the chapter 1s a little bit better than the chapter 2s. You know what I mean? How about down the road, even with like the Pepins, Don Pepin, the guys.
Of course. No, man, I would be honored. Like all these guys, like. I would be honored to work with the Pepins, like, and I've known them pretty close to, I met them within like the first 1 or 2 years that I was in the business, and 15 years later, there are a lot of people that I have great relationships with, love and respect the way that they go to market with their products, and quite frankly, just their products. Aside from all that, right? They make phenomenal products. It's without contest, right? Yeah, I'd love to, man.
I'll tell you a company that I could see a good collaboration with. It is just I'm just throwing stuff or whatever. See what stakes will be Foundation.
Oh, I thought you were going to say White Owl. I would like to. White Owl was my first cigar with my uncle. I would love to do a White Owl.
You know what? You would take it to a whole new level. I'll tell you that much.
Bro, could you imagine, like, dude, my face on that owl, like,
dude,
perched on the tree? It's very nice.
With your hair just flowing,
It would be like me as the owl from Clash of the Titans. It was something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
JJ, that was a movie in the 80s, just in case.
Yeah, JJ's the young buck. He's 30. He's in his early 30s, so he's not sure. I know he knows the newer model, right? Yeah, it's okay. You're still blessed. We still love you, JJ.
Thank you.
Look, I would love to do that, and I love his style, man. I do, and I've known Nick a long time.
I mean, and like I said, but honestly, you truly do stick out from the rest. You really do, and I think you've made it your business to keep it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that your style, your flow, the way you carry yourself is definitely unique. You know, even as you glance, and like I said, these guys have never been to the Great Smoke, but I have, and I'm just being in the profession. I look at body language. I look at a lot of things that the normal person does not look at, and there's just something about you that people gravitate to. You know what I mean? Whether it could be your craziness or just you being you. You know what I'm saying? That people just truly enjoy being around you, and it's a good aura.
Yeah,
If
that
I was
high
there right
energy.
now, would you let me kiss you?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yes, man. That's what I'm
That-
talking about.
That was the quickest yes I've ever heard.
That might be the Elijah Craig Ryan. I'm just saying, but
No, I appreciate that, man, and like I said, it's just the intensity knob is turned in different directions. I mean, kind of based on my mood, or also like the vibe. Like you guys activated me. Like I like the conversation.
no,
So,
we
it's
listen. We
easy.
truly appreciate you
Comfortable.
taking the time.
Yeah, man. It's my
I got a
pleasure,
quick
bro.
point. I got a quick question. What made you go with gin versus, especially being in the cigar industry, versus bourbon or some type of scotch or something like that?
Well, that's exactly why I did it.
Okay,
Because
I hear you.
well, and as I started to dabble in gin, I realized very quickly that it was, in my opinion, the most versatile spirit that exists, because the whole nature, the premise of gin is that you tamper with its formula to modify it,
Right,
not unlike blending cigars.
right,
And I caught a major vibe with our distiller, in terms of, I'm not a distiller, just like I wasn't a fucking cigar maker once upon a time. But I invested myself in the process, and lo and behold, my cigar mouth and my Jedi training in Tobacco Landia served me well, because I could identify thing. For example, like we have a couple different formulas that we're testing. And it's like, hey, so why is this note absent here, and why is it hollow here? And then in this formula, this is far more overbearing. Like, what did you do to change this? Like, what created these results? Like, and the fact that I could see that, I think, um, you know, identified the fact that I was invested in the process, and might not be able to speak their language directly, but I was participating, authentically in the process, right? So,
right.
and as I said, tampering with tradition is kind of something that I like to do. It's
So
what I
you,
like to
like you
do.
say,
So
you carve your own
trench,
path or whatnot.
trench,
Trench,
carving the
your own
trench.
trench.
Yes,
There you go.
but and in all fairness, the the traditional stereotypical direction for gin was something that I didn't really care for. A lot of like very traditional gins are very overbearingly juniper, driven by juniper. They're very green,
Right,
and I wanted to make something that was the opposite of that, and something that was very friendly to a cigar smoking experience. And
right,
so ours is driven specifically by a lot of fresh citrus. And it's interesting because, the brown liquid enthusiast and the cigar smoker, they're the cigar smoker in the pairing process is looking for certain components of that brown liquid, like fire,
right.
and now, so the citrus and the proof drive fire, but it's also a bit more crisp, and it's clean on the finish. Like, it doesn't have like that baritone in your belly. Like, it doesn't have a lot of the weight and the girth that a brown
Hmm.
liquid has. So it's very crisp and clean on the finish. But if you drank our gin neat and smoked a cigar, it would pair phenomenally because
Okay.
of that burn, right?
Right, right.
And that's palate participation. Now, if it was overbearingly juniper, it would be like if you were smoking a cigar and then face fucking yourself with a Christmas tree.
Frosted or unfrosted?
Always unfrosted. I don't trust the frosted. I don't trust it.
Oh, so
Amazing.
here's another question. So what exactly does Matt Booth do to kind of just decompress himself, to kind of just take a step back and just kind of, escape from everything, kind of shut everything off and just be able to just relax, put your guards down? What do you do to kind of decompress?
Fuck around with my cars, and I play tag with my son, or
Cool.
whatever else he wants to do. By the way,
Yeah. How old is your
And-
son now? He's what, 3, 4, 5? What
bro, he's 9.
is he? Shit, really?
He's 9.
God,
You
man.
just did a very adult thing right now. You're like, no, he's like 2. He's an infant. No, he's
God,
like,
Lee, you ain't lying.
yeah,
Holy crap! And they grow quick. Let me tell you.
crazy.
Listen, my daughter's gonna be 24, and my sons are gonna turn 18. And to see my son growing into this young man, and let me tell you something, for him to be driving on his own, and my daughter too, but it's different when you have a son. I love my daughter to death. My firstborn.
Mhm.
But this is the young man that's going to continue and carry my name and so forth. You know what I mean? And it's just, to me, it's just, not to get a little emotional or whatever, but you take a sense of pride of what you kind of you inbred it in them. You know what I mean? And you kind of hope you steer them the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, man.
But
That's your product.
absolutely, it is my product, and he's very much me. He's very much. Both of them are. They're both smart asses. They both got they got thick skin because they better have thick skin with me because I'm very much straight shooter with them. I'm very transparent with my kids. If they screw up, I'm the first one to be there online to tell them they screwed up and they need to get themselves back in line.
Mhm.
I tell my daughter all the time, you'll never find another man that'll love you more than I will.
There you go.
And I go, and nor will you ever find another man that'll treat you better than your father, period.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach my son, you treat every woman with respect. I have very old school traditions in regards to opening doors, pulling out chairs. That's just the thing that I've embedded into my son. You know what I mean? Because it's very important that as a father to instill that into my son. You know what I mean? There's certain things, and there's not to take it away, from any single moms and stuff like that. I don't want no one to come at me, but I think there's just certain things that a father needs to be a part of, raising his son and be part of his life. But
I don't
most
disagree.
definitely.
I don't disagree
Most definitely.
at all.
no,
What's crazy, man? You hold the door for people, and every once in a while, you're going to get somebody that takes the time to stop and say, "I can't even remember the last time somebody held the door for me." It's crazy,
Wow.
that
right?
happened the other day. That happened to me the other day with an
Yeah.
older lady. An
Yeah.
older lady, I opened the door, let her pass before me. She's like, "Thank you, young man. It's been such a long time that someone actually opened the door."
It's fucking crazy, man.
It is
What are we
crazy.
doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Society- yeah,
And
society
take the
now
fucking
is crazy.
shopping cart back.
Yeah,
For the love of
take
God.
the shot.
Fuck.
Well, with that being said, do you have any? What would you consider to be your pet peeves? Like what?
Not
What is
taking
one
the
of-
shopping cart back.
One,
You know what it is? It's the time. It's the idea that what does the humanoid do when there are no consequences to their actions? And how do they behave when no one else is looking?
Is
This
looking.
is integrity.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And to not take the shopping cart back, it is the most. Now look, we're going to carve out a couple options for, physically less than capable, elderly, the mom that's holding 2 kids trying to get them into the fucking car. Like they get a pass.
The
You know what I
pass.
mean? Like pass. Like we're reasonable people here. We're not savages.
Right.
But I do think that if you guys could spare like one SWAT guy that could be like a sniper on the roof of every grocery store in Target to police this epidemic in lack of character, I think very quickly character would get a massive boost. Character would come online in a real way. Now, I'm not saying that they actually need to unlive anyone. I'm just saying, like, maybe shoot the pavement next to them.
A reality check.
Yeah. Or just the fact that they're there. They're like, fuck, is the president here? No, it's that shopping cart thing.
Oh,
You didn't hear? Oh, shit. What? Yeah.
Oh,
We're going to
man.
turn it around. We're going to turn this around.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do after the cigar business. I'm going to have a private security detachment that only provides sniper coverage for shopping cart deviants.
Oh man. So I have one final question.
Tell me.
Okay, and it's kind of going back to a couple of questions ago. You know, I know you've had your trials and tribulations in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what would you say was some of your struggles, you know, that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, the process of overcoming is no different than the advice that I gave previously. Is like you just can't stop, no matter what you're faced with, and you do something that you love and you're passionate about. And for me, it's really my brand's architecture and building a business case for a brand that will live on beyond me. You know, um, you know, not I guess too differently than Scientology. I think that in 100 years, Scientology will be a very real religion, right? And so in the future, in the same spirit, Room 101 will live beyond me, as we put our different categories into these different homes, they're forever homes. Like, for example, on the combustible side, STG is this brand's forever home, you know? And, in the future, there's going to be a marketing guy that's going to be like, man, this dude was wild. Look, and talking about, this is going to be this throwback product, and we're trying to, you know, ingrain some of the spirit of the founder into this product long since he's, passed on to, you know, wherever the fuck we go after this round, And I think that, and I try not to dwell on the negativity, man. I've had a lot of friends turn out to not be friends, right? And I think
Right.
that would, I think that says a lot more than I need to, because it produced a lot of challenges, and you know, and who knows, maybe I'm the fucking simpleton. I think, sometimes I think if I was a piece of shit, I'd already be retired, and so, but I can't do this any other way, right? So, a lot of human disappointment, but it can't outweigh the fight, and I still got a lot of fight left in me. I learned it from my mom. So
There you
there
go.
we go.
There you go.
Listen, I have a couple of sayings. Sometimes those who you think are your friends are not your friends, and those who you think are your enemies are not your enemy.
There we go.
Mhm.
Okay, and probably the number one thing, and these guys have heard me say this 1,000 times, that even loyalty has an expiration date
And a price.
and a price. Absolutely, right? Because I can only be loyal to you for so long, knowing, and that's the hard part, knowing that it's not reciprocated. That at what point do you put your foot down and say, okay, I'm done? I'm done. Because loyalty does have a price. It absolutely does. And I've shared this with these guys. I live with certain standards in my life, with morals and ethics and stuff like that. And those who I associate myself with, I expect the same. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things this is why I tell these guys, transparency to me is very important to me. If I do something that you don't like, AP, you know what? You fucked up. I don't really appreciate what you did. I can respect that, as opposed to you not telling me that and you talking behind my back. That is an issue that I have. And then
Yeah.
the loyalty expires real quick.
Well, man, I think, also, and it wasn't the accent, but I'm just gonna, you mentioned you might be from the East Coast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
Maybe.
from the Bronx.
So, the East Coast guys, I've always caught a vibe with, because I think a lot of their system is more based on transparency, and they have no problem telling you no. West Coast guy, especially like industry, not cigar industry, but a lot of it comes from like entertainment industry and whatever. Like, no one ever wants to tell you no, because they don't want you to remember them as the last person that told you no, right? Because that person could be useful to them later, right?
Mhm.
And so there's a difference in those two different styles of expectation management and communication, and the motivations behind them, right? And I think that transparency is one of the ultimate currencies, and it's not really something that you can fake for long, quite frankly, because actions also have to align with your words, right?
Correct.
Sound familiar, guys?
Oh, yeah.
You understand? I'm that person. You know what I mean? I'll call you out on your bullshit. You know what I mean? I really will. And sometimes I got to give myself a couple of days because I know sometimes I don't want to use the word aggressive, but I know that I could be very harsh with my words because I'm very emotionally attached to what I'm saying. And the reality is, if I get to that point with you specifically, it's because you yourself did something genuinely that I thought was ingenuous. You know what I'm saying? And I almost feel like a responsibility to call you out on your bullshit, because if you're calling me your friend, then there's certain things, like I said, then there's certain things I expect, because you know what, you only have a handful of friends. I don't care what anybody says. I tell that to my kids. You can have a shitload of acquaintances, or you can have a million acquaintances, but you could count on one hand how many true friends you really have in this lifetime.
I agree.
Okay,
I
and
agree.
and to me, it's just one of those things that I stand very tall on. I'm very firm on, and it's just like if I do something, like I said, call me out on it, and I have zero issues explaining the reason why I did it or why I said it. It might not be the answer you might want to hear, but you're gonna hear it
It'll be
from
the
me.
truth.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Absolutely.
We are catching a vibe. Look at that.
Yeah. So
Stand erect on your principles.
the table's rising. You see that? You see the
We know they
I know. I know.
Listen, watch. It's gonna get black. You see what happened? It got dark.
The whole room got dark.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Question for you: are you gonna be at the Great Smoke this coming year?
You know I am.
So I would definitely be looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully, you remember this mug. Hopefully, I can get
Yes.
these guys to come.
Yeah,
know what
man.
I
You
mean?
guys gotta go. It's a great fucking time, man.
Do you go
That
to the
one and the Rocky Mountain.
That's the
think
one I was
are
gonna ask
some
you.
of
You
the
go to-
best, man.
So
Yeah.
that's the one that's on my bucket list. We all spoke about that we're thinking about going next year as a group, But I would definitely want to see you face to face and meet with you face to face, take a couple of pics and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
man.
Get a couple of boxes signed by you so we could I
Fucking
can
A.
send it to these guys.
Yeah, man.
Matt, honestly, guy, I truly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. I know you things come up and stuff like that, but we truly greatly appreciate your time coming in and
No,
being
man.
honest and
I
straightforward.
appreciate you having me on, dude, and I appreciate your patience, man. It's like my life is kind of crazy, but that doesn't mean you don't make the time, right? So, I appreciate you being patient, and I'm glad we did it. Man, it was a killer. We covered so much.
Yeah, we
There was
did.
a lot of ground covered here, man. This was a healthy. This was good. This was like a therapy session for me. I very much
You're
enjoyed
welcome.
it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So, guys, listen, if you like what you see, please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to grow our channel, guys. Trying to get more people like Mr. Booth to come on and join us, Lord. Also, guys, look up Mr. Booth. Where can they find your product?
You need to go on Al Gore's internet, and you need to go to an app called Instagram, and you need to look at Room 101 brand. You need to look at Room 101 cigars. You need to look at Room 101 gin. And these portals will take you to where you can find more of our products. It's phenomenal. It's an amazing tool. You got to check it out. The internet. The shit's wild.
You heard it, right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
You heard it. Did you hear what he just
Phenomenal.
said? What did he just say?
Yes.
Phenomenal. You understand? That's my word. That is my word. These guys always bust my balls about that, but it's phenomenal. Room 101, guys. JJ, where can they find the Leaf and Ash podcast?
Oh, baby. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and, of course, YouTube.
There you
Oh,
go.
shit. It's
Don,
called
where you-
Podbean?
Mhm.
Like diddling the bean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Podbean.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hey,
That's
Don,
phenomenal.
phenomenal, baby. Phenomenal. Don, where can they find you, bro?
They can find me on TikTok under Cigar Don, and here on YouTube under Cigar Don, and then X and Instagram under Flyers Don. I'm an East Coast guy as well. I'm from Philly, so love my Flyers.
OnlyFans, Cigar Don.
OnlyFans.
Not,
Yes.
not yet, but we're working on that. I just had weight loss surgery, so we're working on that.
Nice.
We're getting there. So
JJ's working on his Only Feet fans. I mean,
There we go.
Hey, I'll pour whatever you want to see on them on. I don't care.
how about you, big dog? Where can they find you?
Hey, they can find me on Facebook at Paul Caldwell. They can find me on TikTok at PC Silverback 2023. They can find me on Instagram at P Caldwell 23, and also find me on X.
Guys, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, favorite, Facebook, Threads, Rumble, X, Spotify, all under Cigar Panda.
Grinder.
I'm as simple as they come, guys. Guys, once again, we appreciate you. Please subscribe and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. What's my favorite line, guys? Peace.
Peace.